Hi guys, this is David. This is one of our lore-based episodes that we are going to cover on our little holiday break. I don't know what everybody else is recording. It's all just going to be kind of vibes. So we hope that you enjoy kind of what we're passionate about, what we are thinking about. So I wanted to jump in my lore episode for Cosplay Stitch and Seam. But before we do that, we would love to hear your lore. What are you interested in? What's kind of been your focus on things? What's a cosplay that was inspired by your lore deep diving? We would love to hear it all. You can tell us on our email. I'm doing this blind, so Pannon and Vfire are not here to guide me, unfortunately. You could do that on our email at cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, cosplaystitchandseam.com, or you can join our Facebook page, our Discord server. We even have a channel dedicated just to the lore that you really, really like. So I want to say thank you to everybody on the social media. We hope you are having a fantastic holiday season. Know that we are thinking about you and we care about all of you, and hope that you are staying safe, warm, or cool, depending on what side of the world you're on. And know that here at Cosplay Stitch and Seam, we want you to have the best holiday break that you can. So let's go with my lore. My lore is Superman lives and comic book immortality, or rather, lack of mortality. So I want to talk about sacrifice. We all make some sort of sacrifice day to day. I sacrifice time reading and playing video games to go to work, to make money, to then read comics and play video games and, do all the things that I want to do. Sacrifice time playing video games, playing Call of Duty, Halo, or, Stardew, anything like along those lines. We sacrifice that time to make sure we have time with our kids, our family, our loved ones. In our lives, most sacrifices are small and minuscule, something we don't notice, but we kind of just give it up and don't even think about it because that's who we are. But when it's a larger gesture, say sacrificing all of your money to help the less fortunate, or even risking your life to save another, is a really big deal. That's why in comics, when someone sacrifices themselves, it's a big deal. For instance, when Barry Allen, the Flash, fastest man alive, runs into the Speed Force, essentially guaranteeing his own death, to bring back all of the worlds and solve the event that was called Crisis on Infinite Earths, it was a big deal. Or when V from V for Vendetta sacrifices himself to, either in the movie or the comic book, spark a revolution of one form or another. Their deaths mean something, and it touched our hearts because that action could not be completed without their ultimate sacrifice. Something that they cannot come back from, something that they will not be able to see the end of. Superman Lives is the story arc after the death of Superman. And Death of Superman is one such story of sacrifice. Doomsday comes to Earth and makes fools of all of Earth's greatest superheroes. He essentially is a DC version of Hulk. He gets stronger the more he fights. Until Superman, God amongst men, arrives to stop him. In a metropolis-shattering event, Kal-El, the Man of Tomorrow, uses all of his strength, and with a mighty blow to Doomsday, killing not only this unstoppable adversary of our Earth and all known life, but also killing Clark Kent, Kal-El, our Man of Steel. Superman sacrificed himself for everything he knew, because this fight was going to last eternity, and everyone he knew and loved would be destroyed. And when he died, the world wept. Not only the comic characters in DC Universe, but it was also so shocking that even national talk shows were covering the death of the first major comic book superhero. Imagine this immortal icon using every ounce of unmeasurable power to save the lives of everyone, everywhere. when the conclusion issue of Death of Superman was sold, in mourning, they were sold with a black plastic sleeve. We lost our icon of what we all wanted to be. What it meant to be the icon of good versus evil, to triumph over the greatest of tyrannies and villainy. And it was the noblest sacrifice any of us could think of. Not just for his love, Lois Lane, his family, Pa and Ma Kent, but for the whole world. It was poignant and meaningful. As a kid, I remember reading this story arc, my brother's comic book collection, in a shoebox, and he had all the crossovers. And I read it from cover to cover, from the moment Doomsday first stepped on earth and soil, to the mighty blow that could be heard around the world like the mighty volcano of Krakatoa. I was saddened by his death, and I was moved by his last words, asking if he stopped the monstrosity that was Doomsday. As if to say, like, he would get up and fight some more. I remember being so moved by his sacrifice, and overall with peace to the fact that I knew that Superman did what he knew was right. And it was powerful, it was poignant, and I loved every moment of it. Long live Superman. May we always remember his sacrifice and aspire to be as pure as him. 1938 to 1992. Or so we thought. DC needed sales. Badly. This was not a good time for comic books, so much so that Marvel almost bought out DC. But that's a whole nother hyper-focused interest. So one day, the main story writers for DC and the bigwigs sat down and said, what can we do to entice people to read more comics? And the genius idea was, let's kill the unkillable man. Brilliant! It hasn't been done. It'll be moving. It'll bring Batman to tears. We love it. Wait, someone said. We need to keep readers afterwards, so in 6 issues, let's bring him back to life after everyone is confused and with some other Superman types that have come in. I can only imagine that this is what someone said, as they knew it would ruin the integrity of sacrifice and completely change the media of comic books and storytelling altogether. I hope that man was defenestrated immediately. They probably work for Image Comics now. So, in a long struggle, a struggle for the fans of comic books everywhere, the fictional city of Metropolis was plagued by 3 other types of Supermen. As if the imagery was an insult to injury, salt to the fresh wound, they dressed as Superman and gallivanted across the nation and caused mayhem that could only be stopped by the one and only Superman. That's right, he couldn't stop Doomsday without a world-altering sacrifice, but now needs to stop some wannabe Supermen and their brainless attempts to do good. Fans were mixed about his return, but happy in the end. The problem with his return was small at the time, and has grown to be more cumbersome of an annoyance. Take, for instance, the death of Wolverine. Another unkillable man, killed. In a soul-shocking story of resolution and finality, it just fell flat. And everyone who knows comics said the same line. How long do you think until he comes back to life? When Superman returned to life after a sacrifice of infinite crisis magnitude, it ruined the meaning of not only his death, but of all other heroes and characters ever, that ever was or will be. For instance, the great sacrifice of Barry Allen and the end of Infinite Crisis. He died, with heavy quotes, to restore the balance of the universe. But now that Superman could be brought back, so could Barry Allen. So instead of dying, he really was just stuck in the MacGuffin that is the Speed Force for 25 years. Making his sacrifice, honestly, not as exhilarating. Batman died, again, heavy quotes, but was really sent back in time. Jason Todd, the second Boy Wonder, or Robin, and current Red Hood, actually did die, but he was brought back thanks to Ra's al Ghul. And yes, it is pronounced Ra's, not Roz. That's a David nitpick. The null sacrifice/death isn't just DC Comics either. Marvel has brought back more of their share of heroes. Scott Lang, Hank Pym, Nightcrawler. They went to heaven for Nightcrawler. Literally, they went to heaven for Nightcrawler. Captain America. In the riveting Fear Itself story, Thor faced Ragnarok and knew he was going to die. Another sacrifice moving the plot along. But right after the arc resolved, everyone waited around for Thor to come back to life as casual as a Sunday brunch. And he did! Oh, you died in the world-ending event, killing yourself for everyone in the world? Cool. Make sure you're alive to stop the Wrecking Crew on Monday, huh? Don't even get me started on Nick Fury. Oh my gosh. With death no longer a story device, we can't feel loss or longing for a missed character. We no longer worry that death is final. A sacrifice isn't really a sacrifice if you're immortal. Sure, you'll be absent from your self-title for a while. Or maybe even they reboot the number count of issues that you're on. Superman 1. But does that truly mean you made a life-altering sacrifice? And in this conundrum of death and no longer feeling pride for that sacrifice, all thanks to Superman's return, ruining the validity of death and loss. Sacrifice is meaningless now in comic books because they couldn't truly bring an end to an era, making way for new opportunities. Now, this is the part where I kind of go off script because I wrote this, 2016, 2015, somewhere around there. I wrote this for a blog and I loved it. And I feel very much in the same vein that this is kind of the conundrum that we have in a lot of media these days, that we are stuck in this, we don't want our heroes to die. But I think that there is strength in finality, in knowing that there is only so much that we can appreciate something for so long. And in that mindset where we have this opportunity to look at our value of how do we impact the people around us, if we're not there, that changes everything and how we impact those people. And we love them and we don't want to leave them, but we have to understand that time is finite. And so when we get to grow up reading Superman, that's fantastic. But when we don't get to see that sacrifice of, is there any struggle? Is there any effort? It becomes almost monotonous. I think that's why a lot of people really are drawn to these Dark Souls and Hollow Knight and other games, is because that there is a heavy death toll. I'm going to mention some spoilers for Senua's Sacrifice, the first game, Hellblade. So feel free to skip forward another few minutes. Jump to 14 minutes and 40 seconds, and that way you won't be spoiled. In Senua's Sacrifice, you're told at the very beginning of the game, this character only has so many retries. There is a curse on her arm, and the more she dies, that curse grows. And once it reaches your heart, the game is over. You have to start over from scratch. It's a slow game. You are walking around solving puzzles more than anything else. And there are many tough moments, and I died walking off ledges, and it felt so impactful that this clumsy mistake is going to lead me to a shorter run. Now, the spoiler is that doesn't actually happen. There is no mechanic that prevents your game from continuing on. And I love not knowing that. I loved feeling that this would be the end of the game overall. I think having a finality really, it changes your impact of how you consume the media around it, knowing that it will only be there for a short amount of time. These characters are real to us in the sense that they may not be able to make it to tomorrow. There's no real point. This is just something that I think about oftentimes when I'm writing or thinking about how we consume the story around us. But when we have moments where we think that this could all end in an instant, we appreciate it more. We have more love and adoration for what a character tries to do, tries to succeed in. Again, this is no real point, but I just want everyone to think about their favorite story arc. And I feel like anime definitely does this a lot better. And I feel like there's been a lot of like great stories where characters have died and stay dead. Uncle Ben is one of those characters. Now, granted, he didn't sacrifice himself, but there was a holy trinity of 3 characters in comic books that you would never bring back. Uncle Ben, he's dead. Jason Todd, he's not dead. And Barry Allen, he's not dead. So it's frustrating when you like get attached to the strength and the willingness to make a sacrifice for it to mean something but not mean anything. Yeah, Barry Allen lost 25 years of his life, but he's also the speedster. So if he needs to, he can run back in time. Jason Todd, that's a difficult character to talk about. But yeah, he was traumatized by these things. There was no sacrifice for Jason Todd. So you think about the end of everything. And when you play a game, it's over. Like, you've experienced as much as you can in that moment. Now, video games are great. You can go back. You can re-experience the difficulty. You can finish what you didn't start, anything along those lines. But there's that moment when you end it and you think, it's done. And you get that awesome opportunity to kind of like reflect as the credits are rolling. And you feel complete, but also incomplete. You did it. You did it. Congratulations. The world is saved. You've farmed the last little bit in Stardew. I don't know what you guys do in Stardew. It's not my game. You mined all the blocks in Minecraft, and it's now done. And you have this like longing for more, but you can never have more. I'm reminded of an interview with Donald Glover talking about his TV show Atlanta. And it's a great show. It definitely is socially aware of its surroundings. There's a story arc where they leave the town. They leave their hometown and they go to like Amsterdam. They're traveling around Europe. A lot of people were really upset by that. And Donald Glover says like people wanted them to go back to Atlanta. They wanted that home feeling. But the thing is that when you grow up eating your mother's cooking all your life, and then you go out and you try something 5-star rating, it tastes really, really great and it kind of makes you homesick. But then when you do get home, you can never appreciate the same because your viewpoint has changed. And that's how video games are. That's how endings are. We can appreciate them because the world isn't the same. Again, this is just a ramble. This isn't a rant. I'm not on any script, and I apologize if this doesn't make any sense because I don't have people like going, yeah, no, go ahead, go on, or adding context. But by having an ending, we see the progress, we see what we missed, and we see how we can move forward from that. And I love that. I think that's just so freaking beautiful in the storytelling of everything. So I'll leave you with this, with this thought. If there was one character that came back, who is that character that you're like, it was so much more meaningful when they couldn't come back, right? It's sad. It's a character. Like, I would really love it if, some of these characters could come back, but that's kind of the point, is the longing that we feel for them. So I would love to hear your characters, or I would love to tell me how I'm wrong and how these sacrifices are still meaningful even though they can come back from their sacrifice. I would love to have that conversation. If you want to tell us, feel free to email us at our email at cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com. We have a contact form in our website, cosplaystitchandseam.com. Let us know on our Facebook, facebook.com/cosplaystitch, or our Discord, which you can find the link on our website. All of those things are in the show notes. We would love to have you there. Some of the amazing patrons that we need to thank that have made even these silly little lore episodes possible are Misty Lee, Jack S., Cynthia Eve Cosplay, Starfetcher, Troft Cos, Lydia, Yggdrasil, Dr. Steggy, Cynics, Hot Riku, Renamira, Jazzy Kofed, Jaguar Quinn, Gloria Shu, and Silver Deeds. Thanks so much, you guys. We really appreciate everything that you guys have been doing. Thank you guys for being the awesome community, and I hope you have a fantastic holiday break. Take care of yourselves, know that you're loved, and we will see you next time. Bye!